Another thing about sports that has been debated since the beginning of time, even though it's been proven to happen in the past, athletes or referees controlling the outcome of the match. Whether it's a fight, a match, or game, unfortunately, a very real aspect of all sports is that they can be controlled one way or another. And now we know not only how the games are rigged, but which ones are easier to control than others. Alright, so Michael Franzese is a former mob boss and was recently interviewed by Vlad TV. Throughout the interview, the two spoke about a handful of things: his time in solitary confinement, how the family went into a frenzy when he decided he didn't want to be a part of that life anymore, and how he could get players and referees to throw games. Franzese explained the following: he would have 12 or 13 bookies, who are the ones who take bets, working for him. However, being a bookie requires a lot of money to start out. Guys are making bets for tens of thousands of dollars. You need to be able to pay them if they win. That's where Franzese would come into play. He'd bankroll the bookies, and then they'd give him a cut of what they make when they started to see profit. The bookies would get approached by players or refs who were looking to make some cash on the side. Franzese explained back then the players weren't nearly making as much as they do today. We're talking in the 70s and 80s when $1 million for a player was seen as a big contract. So when these players would bet and lose, they'd be in debts of $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000. When the players couldn't afford to pay their debts, the bookies would send them to Franzese, who would explain they just needed to pay him a few $100s every couple of weeks with some interest. Franzese was a smart man. He knew the players, desperate for money, would be betting with other bookies and getting even further in debt. This was Franzese's plan all along. Wait until the players are in debts of $200,000, $250,000, or even $300,000, and then force their hand when they're desperate. At this point, Franzese explains he didn't have to write it out for the players to understand. They owed a lot of money, which they didn't have, so there were two options: end up hospitalized or do Franzese a favor. That favor wasn't always throwing the game completely, just covering the spread. An example would be if the Eagles and Cowboys were playing, and Wentz found himself in some gambling debts. Franzese would tell him to purposely throw interceptions for his first few possessions, or make a bad pass just so the Eagles wouldn't necessarily win by as many points. If the spread was -10 for the Eagles, meaning they would have to win by 11 points or more, Wentz would find a way for them to win by 7 or 3. The Eagles still win, Franzese wins his bet, the Cowboys lose, everyone's happy. Franzese explained sports like tennis are the easiest to manipulate because it's all on one player, not a team. He also explained how easily a referee can fix a game. Using an example with the NBA, Franzese explained how a ref can miss a call or make a bad call on a certain player, forcing them out of the game for a period of time. When asked for specific details, such as what teams and positions the guys that shaved points played, Franzese wouldn't reveal, admitting he did once and got into some serious trouble. He did, however, say that it doesn't necessarily happen as often with the players anymore because they make so much money. Referees, on the other hand, well, who knows? I got a feeling that blown pass interference call against the Rams, which sent them to the Super Bowl over the Saints the other year, well, that might have had, something to do with the referee owing some money.